Hey everybody, Mr. West here. Alright, I think I sorted out the electrical, the glitching I was having, and it was with a left turn and it was a left rudder glitch. So I made a new long single Y to go directly from the back all the way to the middle of the wing there, and eliminated a Y and 2 extensions, so several connections there. The fewer the better, I believe. So I'll give it a radio check here, which I haven't done in a little while after doing the first one. I'll give it a radio check and then go from there. Looks like my steering needs a little fine tuning right here. Stand her up on a wingtip. Alright, I got 15 minutes on the clock. A little breeze, slight crosswind out of the southwest. Alright, well, I think 15 minutes with nearly ideal wind conditions, meaning there's a little bit of a breeze, intermittent, it's not 100%. Up there at some altitude though, it's probably more constant, and I would guess it's probably about maybe a couple miles an hour. Not much, but gentle, and then hitting pockets of warm air thermaling and things like that. But anyways, the point is 15 minutes exactly. My timer beeped, and no sooner than it beeped, I started turning for a downwind, and sure enough, the throttle came down. That battery drop warning that I have I think most everybody default has their servo or their speed controllers set up. Instead of hard off, you have a drop off. That's kind of a warning feature, which I like. Anyway, beautiful day, and I switched the I took the gyro stabilizer off of the elevator and put it on the rudders. Now it should prove that, and it appeared that there was very small amounts of wag, tail wag, or yawing rather, and we'll see that in the video, I think. So I don't know yet, but it looked really good, felt good from here on the ground. So it's looking pretty stabilized. And again, half and slightly under half throttle into the wind, half throttle and less, I get good lift. But when if I'm doing crosswind, half throttle, I may sink a little bit. I might lose a little altitude. So I'm liking the half stick and or less. And so when I'm FPVing, when I'm in the cockpit there, I'll be looking for that half throttle, and then watch my sink and trim elevator for level flight, and try to reduce the throttle even more. The disadvantages is that we don't see from the ground subtle elevation changes, and so trimming for level flight when you're in the bird is going to be a lot more advantageous. Motor temp, typical. It is warm, especially at the base, but not that I can't hold my hand on it. I can keep my hand on it, no problem. The speed controller is doing just fine. That's a 60 amp. I just remembered what I had on there. Actually, I figured it out. It's a 60 amp speed controller, and hold on just a second. 60 amp speed controller, and I put I whittled down a computer heat sink, an air style heat sink off of a computer CPU. Just a second, let me get this disconnected here. Okay, so up underneath there you can see the heat sink, and I took a piece of bare wire and ran it around the back side of so it's a wire tie, in other words. You could use a zip tie, especially a smaller one. If you get a quality one, a small zip tie will do it. But I was having trouble with them. They don't like corners, and they were breaking, and I couldn't get it tight enough, because between the heat sink and the speed control board, there's a piece of that heat transfer tape on there, and so there's no stickiness to all of that, and you need to hold it down tight, otherwise you don't have a good thermal connection between the two to sync out. And so anyway, I love the heck out of that. I never have any heat issues, so it's a good safety measure to overcool your speed controller in every way that you can. They come heat shrunk, and that's probably the worst thing for a speed controller. They come with these little cheesy, some of them come with little cheesy heat sinks on them, those little flat ones, but they're inside of a plastic case and inside of a heat shrink tube, and that kind of, in my opinion, defeats the purpose. So of course any of those that have a heat sink inside underneath, I always open a window right over the heat sink, and if there's two, I do it on both sides, top and bottom. But in this case, this 60 amp unit, and I'm running 22 volts through it, which is its max. 6 cell is its max capability. I want all the cooling I can get out of it. No glitches whatsoever that I can see from the ground. I didn't feel any oddness. Certainly not in the left turns that I was experiencing it in before. So that's good. I like this little Springer front end. I keep reusing this yoke around the wheel there, that axle yoke, and this is the bomb right here. I love it. I put a smaller diameter wheel on the front, which is a harder. It's still foam, but it's harder, denser than the originals that came with this. And this this assembly came from the Sedona T from Hobby People. The Sedona 46T, which is an excellent big bird trainer, and you can turn that thing into an FPV. There's so much room in there and so much capability, and I've loved the heck out of it. And then eventually she crashed